Once upon a time, there were giants. Not fairy tale giants. Real ones. Men built like machines, cheered by millions, feared by their rivals. They owned the ring, ruled the cameras, and carried entire eras on their shoulders. But even legends can shrink. And when the lights fade, so does the muscle. Once, these men were mountains. Legends. Main eventers whose mere presence made arenas hold their breath. Their bodies were weapons. Veins popping, muscles sculpted. The kind of physiques you can't ignore. And then, they vanished. Not from wrestling, but from size. The juggernauts, freaks of the gym, the total packages, and big papa pumps of the world, all reduced to shadows of their former selves. Some by injury, some by choice, some by the relentless march of age and wear. Today, we're counting down the wrestlers whose size loss was so massive it's physically shocking. The kind of transformations that make even casual fans blink twice. This isn't subtle, this isn't they slimmed down for Hollywood. We're talking from mountains to hills, the kind of shrinkage that makes you ask, is that really him? So, without any further ado, these guys need no introduction, and let's just crack on. Lex Luger didn't just wrestle, he dominated. He captured the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship in 1989, taking it from Nikita Koloff. He defended it like a man possessed against names like Barry Windham and Michael Hayes. This wasn't just winning, this was announcing, I own this ring. He went on to claim the WCW World Heavyweight Championship twice. He didn't just win gold, he carried main event storylines from WCW to NWA Chaos. Luger also held WCW tag team titles, proving he could demolish both singles opponents and partners. In 1993, WWF saw the All-American Hero arrive. He challenged for the WWF Championship, faced Yokozuna at SummerSlam, and co-won the 1994 Royal Rumble with Bret Hart. After both men hit the floor at the exact same time, forcing officials to declare a rare double finish that left fans arguing over who really won. Time doesn't respect legends. In 2007, a spinal stroke left him partially paralyzed. The man who once filled arenas with sheer muscle now fought to walk. Therapy let him shuffle forward. Strength and bulk vanished. The total package became a shadow. It's brutal. It's sad. It's reality. Even in decline, Luger remains a symbol of dedication. Fans still remember the power, the intensity, the sheer presence. He may have lost his frame, but not his story. Some legends aren't about size, they're about impact. Lex Luger's legacy proves that. Scott Steiner was a powerhouse in professional wrestling. He began his career in 1986, quickly making a name for himself. He formed the legendary tag team, the Steiner Brothers, with his brother Rick, capturing multiple tag team championships across various promotions, including WCW, WWE, and NJPW. Steiner's singles career was equally impressive. He won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, WCW United States Heavyweight Championship, and WCW Television Championship. His in-ring style was a blend of amateur wrestling and high-impact moves, making him a formidable opponent. In 2002, Steiner returned to WWE, continuing to showcase his strength and agility. However, injuries began to take their toll. Time doesn't spare even legends. In 2007, at a TNA house show in San Juan, Steiner was kicked in the throat by Apollo. The impact tore his trachea. Doctors gave him 5 hours to live. He was put in an induced coma for 2 days. Surgeons cut through his ribs and lung to repair the damage and drained fluid from his lungs for 2 weeks. Unable to fly due to air pressure risks, he traveled to the US on a cruise ship. The man once called Big Papa Pump never regained his former bulk or mobility. His body shrank, his power diminished, and every appearance reminded fans of the toll wrestling exacts. Steiner survived, but the fearsome giant of WCW was now a shadow of his former self. The Ultimate Warrior wasn't just a wrestler, he was a force of nature. He captured the WWF Intercontinental Championship in 1988, defeating the Honky Tonk Man at SummerSlam. His explosive style and intensity made him one of the most electrifying performers of the late 1980s. In 1990, he reached the pinnacle of his career by winning the WWF World Heavyweight Championship from Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. He held both the Intercontinental and World titles simultaneously, the only wrestler to achieve that at the time. Warrior also headlined major events, including SummerSlam and multiple WrestleManias, often selling out arenas with sheer energy. He was known for his relentless running, face paint, and signature Warrior splash. His intensity made every appearance feel like an apocalypse was about to hit the ring. Even after leaving WWF in the early 90s, Warrior returned for sporadic runs, including Hall of Fame induction in 2014, cementing his legacy. Time, however, was undefeated. In his final years, Warrior's physique had visibly declined from the shredded bulk that defined his prime. A combination of age, lifestyle, and health issues reduced the muscle mass that once made him a human juggernaut. Even in interviews and appearances, the man who once tore through the ring at lightning speed was smaller, slower, and visibly aged. His body may have diminished, but his larger-than-life persona endured. Fans remembered the intensity, the paint, the energy, even as the mask that made him iconic faded. The Ultimate Warrior survived in memory, if not in the unstoppable form of his youth. Hulk Hogan dominated wrestling like few others could. He captured the WWF World Heavyweight Championship 6 times, headlining countless WrestleManias and becoming the face of the 1980s wrestling boom. Hogan also held the WCW World Heavyweight Championship 6 times, cementing his legacy across multiple major promotions. Known for his charisma, massive slams, and signature leg drop, Hogan drew audiences by the tens of thousands. He was a central figure in the Hulkamania phenomenon, starring in merchandise, television specials, and even a movie career. His success wasn't just in titles, he was the ultimate draw, appearing in main events for years, leading the NWO invasion, and helping WCW dominate in the 1990s. Hogan's accolades include multiple Hall of Fame inductions and recognition as one of the most influential wrestlers of all time. His persona transcended wrestling, making him a household name around the globe. Time, surgeries, and age eventually caught up. Hogan's massive arms and frame, once the benchmark for wrestlers of his era, visibly decreased in size after multiple back surgeries and the natural effects of aging. Though still recognizable, the juggernaut frame that inspired generations of fans had faded. Even his most die-hard followers could see that the unstoppable Hulkamania of the 80s and 90s no longer existed in physical form. The legend remains, but the bulk that defined him is gone, a reminder that even icons are mortal and time eventually catches all. Hogan passed away in 2025, leaving behind a legacy larger than life. Fans remember the cheers, the slams, the energy he brought to every arena. His frame may have faded, but Hulkamania will never die. Legends like him endure in memory and history. Big E was built like a tank that somehow smiled. He wasn't just big, he was a walking warning label. A former NXT champion, Intercontinental champion, and WWE champion, his prime was all about raw power, charisma, and an unnatural ability to make 5 count sound like a threat. Big E's traps had their own zip code, and his chest looked like it had its own gravity field. He could bench press your family, your car, and your moral support system in 1 rep. During the New Day's prime, he wasn't just comic relief. He was comic relief that could end your life. When Big E hit the spear through the ropes, fans didn't cheer. They prayed the floor survived. Everything about him screamed unstoppable, until his body screamed louder. Then came the neck injury. A one freak accident on SmackDown in 2022, a botched belly-to-belly suplex, and Big E's run came to a brutal halt. The man who once looked indestructible suddenly had screws, scans, and a stack of medical bills taller than him. In his recovery, fans noticed something. The size was gone. The once 285-pound powerhouse looked smaller, leaner, human even. The monster frame had deflated, leaving behind a man who now had to rely on personality instead of pecs. To his credit, he's handled it with grace, humor, and that same ridiculous positivity. But when you've seen Big E in his prime, watching him now feels like looking at a mountain that's been politely resized to a hill. Still, even at half his size, Big E's got something most wrestlers never did: the ability to make fans laugh and flinch in the same breath. Chris Masters was a walking bodybuilding poster with a pulse. When he arrived in WWE in 2005, the crowd didn't need an introduction. They just needed a second to process what they were seeing. He was 265 pounds of muscle stacked on more muscle. His nickname, the Masterpiece, wasn't marketing. It was accurate. Every inch of him looked engineered for one reason: to be looked at. Masters wasn't a talker or a technician. He was there to flex, lock in the master lock, and remind everyone that genetics had favorites. The Master Lock Challenge became his trademark. Week after week, opponents fell while he stood expressionless, barely sweating. He didn't need stories or promos. His body was the storyline. Crowds didn't chant for him. They stared, waiting for someone, anyone, to break that hold. When the WWE released him, the transformation started fast. The oil, the lights, the mass, gone. Without the constant performance cycle, his body returned to normal proportions. The freakish bulk vanished and fans barely recognized him. He was still in shape, still fit, but no longer a spectacle. His size had been his currency, and suddenly the account was empty. He later rebuilt a leaner physique, worked independent circuits, and earned respect for longevity and maturity. But that image, the overpowered, inflated machine, was finished. Chris Masters went from a man who looked untouchable to a man who looked comfortable. The muscle that made him a star also made him temporary. Now, when fans see him, they don't remember the challenge or the holds. They remember the mass and how fast it disappeared. Dave Batista dominated the WWE in the 2000s. A 6-time world champion, he held the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship, often in brutal high-stakes matches. Batista's presence was unmatched. The man moved like a tank, striking with power that left opponents flattened and fans cheering in disbelief. His signature Batista bomb became one of the most feared finishers of the era. He was also a key member of Evolution, alongside Triple H, Ric Flair, and Randy Orton, helping define an entire generation of main event storytelling. Batista combined raw strength with surprising agility, making him a physically imposing and versatile performer. When he left the wrestling scene, Batista shifted focus to acting. The transition required drastic changes. His 290-pound powerhouse frame shrank considerably for film roles, including Guardians of the Galaxy. Though still muscular and athletic, the sheer bulk that intimidated WWE locker rooms and arenas worldwide was gone. Fans noticed immediately. The monster who once dominated the ring was now leaner but capable. Batista's story illustrates a rare reality. Even icons built like animals have to adapt once the arena lights are gone. Even smaller, Batista carries the aura of a main eventer. The animal lives on, in film, in memory, and in the occasional WWE Hall of Fame reflection. Muscle may fade, but dominance doesn't disappear overnight. Batista proves that strength isn't just measured in pounds. Bill Goldberg entered the WCW in 1997 and immediately became a juggernaut. He amassed an unbeaten streak of 173-0 on television, a record that made every opponent look like they wandered onto the wrong stage. Goldberg captured the WCW World Heavyweight Championship and the United States Heavyweight Championship, often ending matches in explosive fashion. His signature spear and jackhammer finishers weren't just moves, they were statements. Goldberg's presence was dominating. Fans and locker rooms alike recognized the threat before he even moved. He later transitioned to the WWE, winning the World Heavyweight Championship and headlining major pay-per-views. Goldberg's strength, intensity, and sheer athleticism made him one of the most feared competitors of his era. Every appearance carried the weight of a legend in motion, and his aura rarely needed words. Post-retirement, Goldberg's massive frame visibly decreased. Time, age, and reduced in-ring activity stripped away much of the size that made him imposing. Though he retained athleticism and a recognizable presence, the monster bulk that dominated WCW and WWE was gone. Fans could see the difference immediately. The wall of muscle that once crushed opponents had softened. Even occasional appearances couldn't replicate the physical intensity of his peak years. Goldberg's story is a reminder that even the strongest and most unstoppable wrestlers can be humbled by time and inactivity. Smaller but still formidable, Goldberg's name continues to resonate in wrestling. His streak, his finishers, and his legend survive. The muscle may have faded, but the fear and respect he earned remain intact. Goldberg proves that once you make an impact, size is just one part of your legacy. Sid Vicious entered wrestling as a towering force impossible to ignore. He captured the WCW World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship, commanding attention with every step. His imposing frame and raw power made him a constant main event threat. Sid's signature moves, the powerbomb, the chokeslam, and the occasional reckless dive, turned opponents into cautionary tales. He was a headline act, a presence who didn't just wrestle, he dominated. Feuds with the likes of Hulk Hogan, Big Van Vader, and Ric Flair defined his era. Sid didn't rely on charisma alone, he carried the ring physically, turning each appearance into a showcase of strength and intimidation. His career was marked by sudden bursts of brilliance and unpredictability. Post-retirement, the giant frame visibly diminished. Time, injuries, and the natural decline stripped Sid of the bulk that made him terrifying. The once massive, intimidating wrestler now appeared leaner, smaller, and less threatening. Even in rare appearances, the aura of unstoppable power was gone. Fans remembered the size and presence that once dominated arenas worldwide, a stark contrast to the man who emerged years later. Sid's story is a reminder that even the most imposing athletes are not immune to age and wear. Smaller, slower, but still formidable, Sid remains a symbol of peak intimidation. The man may have shrunk, But the legend of fear he created endures. Sid proves that size alone doesn't make a wrestler remembered. It's the impact they leave behind. Long before Vince McMahon Jr. dominated the wrestling scene, Bruno Sammartino was a titan of the 1960s and 70s, dominating the like few ever could. He held the WWF World Heavyweight Championship for a record-setting over 11 years combined, with his first reign lasting more than 7 years. Bruno's strength was legendary. He could lift and throw men twice his size. His matches were events, not just contests. Sammartino wasn't just muscle, he was stamina, resilience, and presence. Fans packed Madison Square Garden for decades to witness his dominance. His style was simple but devastating. Clean, powerful wrestling that left opponents flattened and audiences in awe. Sammartino carried the company through its formative years, becoming the face of professional wrestling in America. Even outside the ring, his dedication to fans and consistent work ethic elevated him above peers. Post-retirement, Bruno naturally lost the massive muscle mass that defined his era. Years of age, arthritis, and reduced activity shrank the giant frame into a leaner, less imposing figure. Though still athletic in appearances, the wall of muscle that once dominated arenas was gone. Fans who saw him in his prime remembered the sheer physicality. The later appearances were a respectful shadow of the legend. Despite the loss of size, Sammartino remained a revered figure in wrestling history, his impact untouched by time. Even smaller, Bruno's presence carried weight. He was more than muscle. He was legacy, endurance, and the definition of what a champion should be. Sammartino proves that size fades, but respect lasts forever. The man may have shrunk, but the legend towers endlessly in wrestling memory. Mass fades, legends shrink. Time doesn't care about how many belts you held or how loud the crowd cheered. These men built their careers on muscle, presence, and intimidation. The arenas once shook when they walked in. Now, in post-retirement appearances, the sheer size that defined them has disappeared. Fans remember the strength, the dominance, and the moments that made these athletes unforgettable. What remains is respect for what they achieved and the reality that nobody lasts forever. Even the biggest, most unstoppable figures eventually show that age and inactivity are undefeated opponents. The irony is brutal. What made them legendary also made losing it unforgettable. Some rebuilt, some disappeared quietly, some survive only in memory and old footage. Size is temporary, impact lasts. Every bulk, every move, every headline will outlive the muscles that carried it. Muscle fades, legends endure, and in the end, all that remains is the shadow of greatness. Thanks for watching.